Hello, fellow Mythweavers. This one isn't really a Garden of Universes lore. It's more of I don't really know what to do, so I'm just making a video to try and fill the time. How are you all today? To the possibly one person that I saw that subscribed. It was nice that you subscribed, even though you didn't have to. I really do that. Again, I do this as a hobby, so it's not required. So if they unsubscribe, they unsubscribe. But either way, well, I think I'll just start with the question of the video, and that'll be, if you could make a new fantasy creature, what creature would you use as a base? So basically, if you wanted to make a new fantasy race and you based them on the elves or the dwarves or whatever, what would you do if you made a fantasy creature? It doesn't have to be a playable race or a playable species, I guess people want to say, because of the weirdness of racism in it and whatever, which it's not, but people make up about whatever. So what would you use? Because you could do anything from a random creature that fights with, to a helpful creature, to a pet, to any number of things. What kind of creature would you guys do? If you would like, let me know in the comments, and be nice to each other, because that's all that I'm really asking for, is just people to be nice to each other. My rules aren't that strict. You can talk about whatever on earth you want to talk about. Just be nice. Respect that other people have opinions, and just don't be mean. That's all I really give a fuck about. Sorry, I know that I swear and it's not a good thing. Honestly, there's a lot of different things I like, and once I like them and people based on what they know about me, they'll either really hate those things or they'll hate me for liking them. I don't know. Whatever it may be, I hope that everyone can still get along and have a good day, because in the end we all want to escape the badness of life. As long as we do it in a way that's at least somewhat healthy, then I don't see the harm in it. I mean, something can be good just because it's really well liked in spite of someone else liking it. And regardless of that, well, I don't know. There are a lot of games I like. I feel bad because my Zenless Zone Zero account got deleted, even though I did the birth date stuff. I felt a little cheated. I lost all the characters that I had gotten since then and stuff like that. I don't remember who all it was, but I know of at least three of the characters, I think, that I had. And one of them, actually four, because the one character you got as a banner, and they were going to be the stun for my second team, because that was the second stunner that I had. But anyway, I liked that. I kind of liked Honkai Star Rail, but I didn't like grinding, because that's just something I'm not good at. It's kind of why I liked Kingdom Hearts as an RPG, is because if you played it on easy, you didn't have to grind. You could play your way through the boss and be pretty underleveled to be able to skill your way through it. I also kind of brute forced with melee for a lot of it, and didn't use magic as much except for healing. But that's kind of beside the point. There's a lot of things I like. I like superheroes. I don't really know much about that, so when I see the comics videos, it's pretty cool. Especially because I saw that recent video about the Sonic and DC crossover, which was pretty interesting. And it's kind of interesting how they're going into crossovers, but I've heard a lot about the burnout and stuff. You know what? It's probably better if I say this now, since I didn't think about it earlier. If you hear any of my opinions or anything, I'm like medium functioning as a schizophrenic, so take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if it's medium or high functioning, but I'm just going to say medium functioning just to be on the safe side. So, in the end, take what I say with a grain of salt. I have opinions. I don't have a whole lot of information. I go based off of what I hear and what I know. So, I guess this could just be me rambling off tons of different topics. If you ask me what system I believe in that works, that would be capitalism. The reason why I don't think communism works was I saw a video that was talking about how capitalism is the system that communism takes the arbitrary numbers for numbering things with it. But personally, I believe when they made imaginary money as a possibility, that was just waiting for trouble. I understand that it took care of some of the problems, like the scarce resources and currencies and stuff like that, but the problems with money is that people that have lots of it, a lot of the times they don't want to reinvest back into the lower classes. And so that's why it becomes a problem, because it's just a big temptation. I mean, if you have a lot of money, I'm sure you'd love to spend it on things that you have and stuff like that, and to be able to be rich. That's the American dream. But not everyone's going to be able to do that, and it kind of sucks, but I don't know. I think if I was going to make a system, I'd probably want to make a new currency. One that's not fake, but one that's based on resources. And since the US dollar is supposed to be backed on oil, that's kind of a really important trade resource. I think we'd all benefit if we just went back to trading and currencies with gold, silver, and copper, but that's just my personal opinion, and it might be just enjoying too much of the fantasy genre with the knights of old and adventurers and gold and platinum coins and all that. But anyway, there's not a whole lot of different things. When it comes to politics, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm independent. It's mostly just because I haven't really chosen a political party. Honestly, if I didn't have the porn problem in my past, I'd probably be someone that could actually run for president and go, hey, guess what? I was a perfectly good citizen. But no, I got the porn, so even with me being as honest as I am about this, it wouldn't really help. Also, I don't know that I could handle the responsibility of being a politician. It would probably take lots of education and stuff. That would be kind of crazy for that. I know the best way to do it would be to listen to the people, not just the majority, but the minority as well, because you want to balance both. You don't want the majority to mob rule, but you don't want the minority to rule over the majority, like kings and monarchy. I kind of like monarchy, but that's just because I could fantasize myself being a king. Hail! King Michael enters the castle! Huzzah! But anyway, yeah, that's just me being silly. I like fantasy. I liked Lord of the Rings as the movies. I never read the books. I liked Harry Potter as the movies too. I never read the books on that. There's a lot of things I haven't read the books on, but there's a lot of cool things. I guess I could do that. I could go into my worlds that I was doing for D&D. I guess I'll do that. I mean, I don't got much else to talk about. I don't know what other divisive topics besides religion, and I believe in Jesus being the Son of God, and I believe in the Holy Spirit being a person, and I believe that the devil is real because he causes me problems all the time. Because if it wasn't known to be any better, I guess it would be that I feel like I'm possessed by several demons, but in the end, I'm just going to chalk it up to schizophrenia. There's no point in worrying about it because even praying constantly and waiting for God to do something, he's decided, no, I'm not going to do anything, so I'll just treat it like a physical illness, even though it could be something different. I'll leave it at that. I mean, after all, I really like my sins and I don't want to let them go, and since God doesn't mind control, he can't make me do it, so I probably won't be in heaven. It's really sad because I know that. I still want to be good to you guys and try and be loving and stuff. I've got my friend who's in jail because he made some poor decisions, and that's because he didn't have the mind of an adult. He has a mental illness of the mind of an 11-year-old, and I feel bad for him, and so I got to try and do the court stuff for him, or the jail stuff for him, so he has some money so he can spend it in there and can do phone calls and stuff. So I'm going to do that. I'll probably do that tomorrow, maybe a little bit later today, I don't know. Might even do it after this video. I've been a shit friend because he's been in jail for a couple of years now, and I didn't talk to him, so it was fucking dumb on my part, and I completely forgot about him, and I'm just not a good Christian. If I go to heaven, it's because God said, you know what, just to prove a fucking point, you can be there because I said so. That's about it. There's no other possible way because I don't want to let go. So there is no other chance on this green earth unless some spiritual miracle happens where I let go of it and everything else because of fantasy. My problem is that I've made fantasy an idol. That's just the truth of it. I know I say that I know I can do it without it being an idol, but that's probably not true. It was a part of me growing up, is being able to be that kid that was on his own and not really knowing how to talk to people, and buying a video game from the family members and from the Games Ahoy, GameStop stuff. Those were how I was able to get through childhood with being alone. That and the occasional treats of candy bars and sodas from food stamps because we struggled because mom was divorced and was single except for when she was dating boyfriends who basically taught me how not to do things and a lot of things, but some of them did do good things. And the one boyfriend that if there's a reason why I'm not going to heaven, it's because of how I treated him. He was an alcoholic, and he basically drank himself, well, not basically, he literally drank himself to death. And instead of trying to help him heal from his trauma, I ended up just trying to get rid of him. A lot of people say I should let that go, but I just wish back then that I had thought of maybe instead I can try and help him heal through his problems rather than just trying to push him out, because I didn't want to get pushed out myself, so I feel like that's the karma that God's giving me, and that's why this problem won't go away. And it's totally fair, and I believe God's judgment is absolutely fair. But anyway, I'm going to go back to the fantasy. So I've been working on that video game and trying to create my own world. It started with me doing D&D and wanting to create a race for one of my dad's characters. There's a Magic series called the Rift War Saga, and it's by Raymond D. Feist. And there's a creature race called the Valerhu, and they are a almost godlike race that has a shit ton of power and ward with the gods and stuff like that, and they created servant races. So because Dad has that as a D&D element, where he's kind of a free-form D&D player, where he has the stats and stuff, but it's like a power leveling campaign, so it's like power fantasy, except the world is just as dangerous. And I think originally the planet size wasn't what it is now, because Dad always references Norworld, which is his fantasy world's home world of the dragons, only Western. He doesn't like Eastern. But he says that just like 300 Earths fit into the eye of Jupiter, 300 Jupiters fit into the eye of Norworld. Except I Googled that and learned that it's not 300, it's 3. So 3 Earths fit in the eye of Jupiter. So technically, probably in the past, it used to be that 3 Jupiters fit into the eye of Norworld. So that's probably the original size. But now he says 300, so this planet is so big it would have collapsed into a freaking star. That's how it is. And so, because I loved the scale of that and I thought it was awesome and silly, that's kind of what I made my world. My world is called Atlas. I need to scooch this down a bit so that way you guys can see me when I lean back. And so, my world's name is Atlas. It's not very creative, but it's a name that'll get the job done. And when I've tried making magic systems, I've tried it for stories, and I've gotten several of them. One of them, was one that it was called Resonance, and it was kind of a particle-based one as well. And I was trying to goof around with it, but I wasn't able to really get it worked out, except for the AI helped me to make it, where it had its own axioms, so that way it was kind of a sci-fi magic system. But anyway, there wasn't too much that I could do about that. I mean, I had it to the point where all I'd really have to do was make the elements, like for a periodic table, and it would be kind of cool, but I didn't really know how to go about naming all that. And so that idea kind of fizzled out. So it ended up that I scrapped that system and went for a new one, and then I just kind of did a simplified one that I borrowed from a video game. Well, actually, there's probably several video games that use it, but it's the elements combat thing: light, dark, fire, water, earth, and air. So I based the system off of that, and so I kind of created super elements. So that way they have higher tiers of magic that associate with them. So light has time, dark has space, fire has lightning, water has ice, earth has metal and crystals. And the reason I added metal was because crystals were the original one, but like I learned that some metals have crystals for structure, so I just added the metal in afterwards, kind of as an afterthought, but also because it kind of well rounds out the idea of earth being really strong and good for defense. And then for wind, I originally started with sound, and then I was told later that that was the Avatar Last Airbender version, which, I mean, it does make sense. But I feel like in order to manipulate wind magic anyway, you're kind of manipulating the vibrations in the air, so wind and sound just kind of feels like it's a specific type of wind magic, not that it's like an advanced version. So instead of that, I chose to go for healing, because that's one of the trope ones. And since I used light for time and dark for space, that's kind of what changed all of that. And so that's where I put the life magic and healing magic. And so my magic system took a little bit of inspiration from the Magitech Chronicles, where in order for spells to be created, you mix different elements in. So he has fire, dream, spirit, and other elements like that. And you can mix them and match them, and they'll create elements. So with this system, I kind of modified my magic system so that each element and super element had a concept that was behind them. And so with that, the light concept had creation behind it, dark concept had destruction, so those were kind of obvious. Then I did fire and earth, which were chaos and order, because earth is kind of a structure thing, and you mess with molecules to build stuff, so I did that. And fire was also a sub-concept of energy, so energy and chaos and kind of stuff like that is for that. And then with water, I remembered the Norse mythology thing about the pool of wisdom, where Odin gives his eyeball so that way he can learn a whole bunch of stuff and stuff like that. So I did knowledge, and then I was trying to figure out what concept to do with wind and stuff. And mostly because of the puns that came with it, I did the concept of mystery. So that way it adds like probability, luck, the mystery of life, the mystery of the winds of change, and things like that. So it also had the subtype of change. But with knowledge, it kind of is a little hard for a subtype. And so because of the flowing of the elements, it's change is kind of for both wind and water magic for the fantasy system. So it's kind of a give and take. I haven't really figured out all of it to the best of my ability. And originally, I did have another video game that I was going to do, because I'm really good at writing like story ideas, but I am jack squat for actually fully writing out the thing or for building the video games or anything. And that's even just besides the actual know-how to do 3D modeling and building the game and stuff like that. I mean, if I was going to do it, I'd kind of want people with me because I'm not good at staying determined at something. So in all honesty, it might be like an ADD, ADHD thing, but I don't know. But it also could just be that I like distracting myself. So I don't 100% know. I mean, if you've made it this far into the video, cool. Thank you for sticking around. Sorry if I'm driving you nuts. I mean, I don't think my Zoggin YouTube shorts ever got viewed. So I was creating my own fantasy creature, and it was going to be comparably as strong as dragons because I didn't feel like there were enough creatures that could actually match and fight a dragon in the scale of danger. But also dragons are kind of meant to be that, so I don't know, but the Zoggin are a wolf-like species. They have horns that are kind of like stalagmites and stalactites in the way that they're jagged and stuff like that. So, like, if there's multiple water droplets on it, it can have multiple spikes and stuff like that. And with the horns, they have psychic ability, so they can communicate in that way instead of trying to do it through grunts or howls. They're just able to communicate telepathically, sharing their emotions and their mind and thoughts of their wants and things like that, and that's how they express themselves. And because of the elemental system, they have the different elements, so each element has its own color for its fur, and the progenitors, which were the paragons of the creature, which is the peak of the creature's species, those were rainbow colored, so it had all the colors of the other ones in the fur coat. And I don't remember the exact colors, but I think light was yellow, earth was brown, which is orange, and dark was purple. I remember that much. Fire was red, water is blue, wind is green, earth is orange, light and dark. Yeah, I think that's all 6 of them. And so the color schemes are kind of interesting and a little bit wonky, but they also have different powers. So like the shadow one can breathe a sort of like void energy that could basically atomically disintegrate something, kind of like a miniature corrosion. Light basically just shot laser beams. Fire did fire and could do some lightning bolts, and water could do a steam breath, a water breath, like a fire hose, or could do ice, and earth could shoot rocks or crystals, and or could do like, I was thinking possibly kind of like the Pokemon Jolteon's pin missile, where it could shoot parts of its fur, except instead of fur it'd be like metal fragments. So it could launch those like high-speed projectiles with electromagnetism because of earth and metal and stuff. Or maybe just a unique energy related to crystals. And then wind could create powerful gusts of wind and then could have a healing breath. And then I have my own custom races, and I'll probably pull that up for the actual video stuff so you guys can see that. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Was it Intro to Atlas? No. Custom Races of Atlas. I had the AI help me a little bit, and so I have different races. The first race, which was related to light, were the Galaxime, which were galaxy and time for the name. They're celestial warriors of light and time, resembling winged humans with radiant skin. They're basically like the Valkyries of Norse mythology. This is the D&D stuff, and some of that. They had some weakness to shadow and stuff like that. And then there's the Void Nultis, which were basically going to be my own kind of spectral Grim Reaper kind of creatures. And the AI used that as a part of that. So they look human, but they were kind of like ghosts, so they could pass through stuff and stuff like that. Mostly because of their association with space stuff. Then there's the Fenrir, which is basically the wolf humans. They're not werewolves, it's basically more like the furries that have the dog ears and dog tail. And they still look human. So that way I can have funny kind of waifu things. And yes, there's a couple of races that are like that for this. And then there's the Faberste, which are basically the Dragonborns of it. Think like the anime Dragon Girls kind of thing. And that's basically what they're like. The Dolphinias are kind of like a dolphin version of the people. If you wanted an example that would be the best of what they look like, it would be Ellen Jo from Zenless Zone Zero. Except she's a shark, and these would be dolphins, so it would be slightly different. So they'd be able to take in deep breaths and go underwater for really long periods of time, but would still have to come up for air and stuff like that. Then there's the Felina, which are the cat girls. The Vixia, which are the Kitsune fox girls, basically. The Macrodine, which this one was one that was helped with my uncle. And they're basically crystal golems, and their main thing is absorbing magic. So it's kind of a unique thing that's like not related to my 6 elements. So if this was going to be my own D&D world, that's what I plan on using it for besides the fantasy stuff, since I'm never going to be able to make the video game. I don't have the money for it, and oh yeah, that's right, I was on a different subject. I'm sorry, I went tangent back to this. I was originally making another video game, and I went to a really nice company, and they did everything they could to help me, but I ended up losing the job later, so I'm glad I didn't sign the contract with them. It's not their fault, and if I could, I'd work with them again. But I'm also having to transition from the job that I have because my schizophrenia also has a problem where there's a part of me that just can't sit still in my own skin. So I have to keep moving, walking around, and things like that in order to be able to do that. Because my job was an awesome job. It was really easy. It was working at a factory. I made switches. Simplest thing I could ever do. It would be my dream job, if I could ever have a dream job, of just having something simple enough that I could do it. But I had to quit because I just can't sit still long enough to do it, and arguing with the voices, and the voices injuring me with my own hands. I'm not harmful to myself, it's just been a couple of taps on the leg, so I hurt a little bit, but I would never harm anyone else. I know that you guys are probably like, oh, you should probably be in a mental hospital. Maybe. I really wish not, because of the simple fact of I don't hurt anyone else. And also, those places are just fucking miserable. The only thing you can really do in there is TV and movies. Everything else has to be taken away because of how much people can hurt themselves. So it's not a bad thing, but I wish there was ways that we could do something to help with that, so that way more help could be given, not just to the people that are there, but like for things to do that aren't capable of harming themselves with it. Because, I mean, if you have anything, you can pretty much harm yourself with it if you really want to get creative, and that's not a good thing to say, but whether or not I should be really adding this, I don't know. I just, like I said in your other videos, I'm just being honest with you guys because that's how I want to build this YouTube relationship. It is a hobby for me. There isn't a whole lot I can do about it, but if I'm going to be honest to my audience with pretty much no matter what, then they can always expect me to be honest and to give my own opinions on things, even when I'm wrong, and then they know what to expect from me, and we can all have our fun times, and if people don't like me, they don't like me. If they do, they do. Then great, but it's not about whether they do like me or not. It's just, I'm just going to do my best to try and be me and to try and spread a little bit of happiness and joy through things that I like. And it's something that the world needs, is everybody to be more friendly to each other. I know a lot of people are going to disagree about that, or they're going to laugh at me because it's naive, but I really think that if we loved each other more, it would really help. That's why I believe in God, is because He's a God of love. And that's why I don't believe in the eternal damnation and hells and things that they teach like that. I just don't believe it's right, and that's why I believe in the Seventh-day Adventist denomination, even though I'm not good about all the things that they do. Because the vegetarianism isn't required, but it's something that people really like because they feel like it's being respectful to God. But that doesn't mean you can't eat meat and be a Seventh-day Adventist. It's just they would really prefer if you were vegetarian because it's just healthier. I don't know if it's 100% healthier or not, but it is helpful in that way. Honestly, even though we're really connected by the screens and stuff, it's not the same as being able to sit on the couch and being able to co-op game. This will never blow up. My channel will never blow up, and I'm thankful for even the one subscriber. So, if you watch this video, thank you. If you stay after learning about all the controversy that I just decided to let be the start of the channel, and you decided to stick along, hey man, cool, thanks. Or woman, I don't know who you are, and the username didn't necessarily give that away, so personally, I think the people that are worried about their identity politics are associating gender with their identity. That's not what they need to do. You can be a girl and like Call of Duty. You can be a girl and like sports. You can be a guy and like dolls. And do you know why I say that? Even though a lot of people disagree with me about that? We're guys. We like girls. We like things that are pretty. There's no reason to say that we can't fucking like them. I mean, admittedly, it's a little bit unusual, but that doesn't mean that we can't. Now, people that want to say they're animals, I think that might be a little too far. Now, if you're saying your personality's really close, like, say, I associate with a golden retriever because they've got all that energy of being really hyper and being really loyal and things like that, I can understand that. And we can say, hey, excuse me, sorry. We can say, hey, those things are cool like that. But saying that we are, I mean, just saying that anything of I have to be this other gender or anything like that, you're just saying that men have to be the one way and women have to be that other way. And that just adds to the stereotype anyway. I know there's going to be a lot of people that hate me for that, but what I'm trying to tell you is you don't have to associate those things to your identity. You're free to be you. That's the beautiful thing about America. We are a country that is built on freedom. A lot of people have trouble expressing themselves, and I know that because I have been in that situation. And the only way I have found of expressing myself at all is just being so brutally honest that it makes everyone else cringe. It's hard, it's scary. Who knows, one day I'll probably get murdered for all I know. But at the very least, I tried to be helpful and tried to be real and tried to share that love. I may be a shit person, I may not even go to heaven, and that's fair because I know that it's an honest judgment. It's not wrong. I like those things. I shouldn't like those things. I should have more discipline, but I don't. They're just really a part of my identity is the video games and the fantasy and stuff, and with how much time I've put into it and just wanting the fun. And even the worst part about it is the reason why I got into the porn that I did was because I liked the fandom. It wasn't because I wanted porn of the characters. It was because I liked the characters, and I liked them because of the community that I was seeing with it, with people being able to create their own things, create their own unique things, and being able to share and be a part of the community, because that was something that I was missing, was being able to go out there and to make friends, because it's hard. If you don't have any idea of how the skill works, it sucks. You don't know how. It's just something that'll be too hard. You know, as much as I hate to say this, at the same time I'd love for this to go big, I kind of hope it doesn't, because it's painful to think about how weak I am as a person. There are so many things that I love and things that make me a bad person. I don't know what to do with it. I'm selfish. I want what I want. I don't think about others very often. I mean, sure, among all the things that I've done, the worst is porn, but that, one, that doesn't make it any better, and two, it just, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm opening my heart and I'm sharing, and I know that it's dumb because everybody usually stabs you for it because they're scared of sharing that much. But that's the best way I've found to be able to deal with anything, is just be honest. It makes you free. It makes you realize that things that you've done are dumb. And it helps you learn, because other people share their opinions, or they'll share facts that you didn't know, or things like that. And then we have the ability to say, hey, you know what? I'm looking at this. I'm willing to learn. I want to learn. I want to know. And that's just the best of it. That's how it goes further. Well, back to the fantasy races. This one was my first race that I created and was my favorite, the Ravenai. They were based on the Tengus from Japanese folklore and stuff. And also I took the inspiration a little bit from Toho, from the characters like Aya Shinmoyamara, who was a Tengu that was the bird one. And And then there's Oku, which is actually a Hell Raven, who's not a Tengu, but the human with wings that were black, that were raven-like. That's what I took it from. And the Tengu were the warriors, kind of stuff like that. And then when I associated the air element, I came up with the idea that the planet, like kind of like in the Fate series, how the planet's alive and it has its own voice and stuff. I basically just treated this where my world Atlas has its own sentience, so it's like a goddess, but it's not a goddess. It's the planet's voice, and it has the ability to talk. And so my Raven Eye have the ability to use wind magic to hear the world's voice. And then there's quite a few other things, because with the Raven Eye, they were capable of not only hearing the world's voice as a part of their coming-of-age ritual, but there's also a subset of them that are called the Grey Wings. And the Grey Wings have way more attunement to their wind magic and their healing magic, so they're way freaking more powerful. So the Raven Eye here, they have the normal Raven Eye, which are kind of like regular Tengus, and then they have an Elder Raven Eye, who leads the clan of them. And that Elder Raven Eye is equivalent to like a Dai Tengu, who is a more powerful version. And the Grey Wings have a version that is more powerful, so there's the Grey Wing Raven Eye and the Grey Wing Elder Raven Eye. And my original main character was named Mithril Sharpwing, and he was a Grey Wing Elder Raven Eye, so he was going to be quite powerful, especially when he got older. And they're born with their fans, their magical fans, and that's because that represents their tail feathers. So they're not born with tail feathers, they're born with a magical fan that is their tail feather equivalent. And so that a lot of that was inspired from the Tengu. Then there's the Stellolith, which was one of the AI ones. So they basically look like those. They look like the humanoids that have skin that's like space, like outer space. So I don't know if Alien X looks like that, but it's like a human, and you map stars over them. Like if you saw a galaxy or things like that, that's what I understood this to be like. And so they're powerful. And then the Ember Kim, they looked more like living fire elementals from D&D. That's what I understood for that. The Corolith, which are basically they're creatures that have coral for skin, so they're humanoid, but they have coral for skin, so it would be kind of like those zombies that have the fungus growing on them. It's really popular. I don't remember what they're called, the cordyceps or something like that, except instead of like the fungus, it's like coral, so they could have all sorts of different things. And then there's the Zephyrin, which are basically dragonfly versions of it. So they're humanoid, but they have dragonfly wings, and they're basically like the F-16s of the fantasy world. They can fly, or no, not the F-16s, more like the attack helicopters of that, because they can hover in place, they can fly at really high speeds. You know what? Screw it. They're a combination of an F-16 and a helicopter. Why the heck not? They can hover in place, then they can fly at 1,000,000 miles per hour. Not literally, but they fly really freaking fast. They're really in tune with the wind, and they make for good hit-and-run kind of tactics. And then this was a bunch of the spells that was for that, since this was going to be D&D related. And so that's basically what that would be. The original story that I came up with for the first one was going to be that a core from another world that has the souls in it crashes down onto Atlas, and so alien life forms would be spawning in. So the world would be in danger of being unbalanced because of that. And for each of the 6 elements, they had guardian dragons that were super powerful. They were basically like gods, but they're not gods, they're called guardians. So they have it without needing the followers and worshippers and stuff. And the guardians are the ones that created the races. And so the original way I wanted to do this is I kind of wanted to copy Toho in the way that I wanted to build a world and people could populate it with their own things. So I wanted to make it cool and creative because I have seen people that can do some crazy awesome stuff. I know that a lot of you guys have seen Subnautica and the new Subnautica and whatever else, like Subnautica Ice Age or whatever it was called. And those designs are awesome. People can come up with the craziest, wackiest shit. And so I know that if it was going to be a world, it could be freaking amazing. So I wanted kind of a world like that. I wanted to make sure that the copyright was protected and stuff. And, like, I could make my own games that were like, hey, these are the canon games, but you can all have the fandom games, and if I like something, I can add it to the canon. Just because I say, hell yeah, or, that's okay, kind of thing. Or, you know what, you did something really cool, so I say that's worth it, and then add it in. I know that there's no chance on this green earth that this video will ever make it onto another video channel. Even with the jinxing of it like that, with so many evers, no, it's impossible. That video would have to blow up overnight, and it would have to be the AI doing it in order for that to happen. Or God himself would have to say, you know what, Michael, I like what you said. Share. Not going to happen. But, all of that aside, I'm thankful that you guys stayed. All 2 of you, 1 of you. I think the other subscriber is me, so I'm thankful that you stayed. I'm thankful that you watched. Like I normally do, I just share my heart and soul, and maybe one day I can make something that's cool, but until then, I'm just going to share stuff. I know my next video was supposed to be a video game video, but I'm still having a hard time trying to figure out what video game I want to play. So, excuse me. So I'm going to try and figure that out and stuff like that. So I'm not 100% certain, but I want to try. You know what? Sure, why the hell not? If I was ever going to have any advertisers, like if I was going to make money on this, which I'm not unless it really does good and the people want me to, but like, even then, I'm still not sure I would do it. But like, if I was going to do that, like if I was going to have sponsors, I would make sure family members bought the products online and I would be giving fair reviews. You couldn't corner me into testing the product and saying, oh, this is really good and only provide good. No, because that's not real and it's not genuine. That would just be BS for the sake of BS. Oh no, make me look nice. Do you want me to make you look nice, or do you want me to give you constructive feedback so you can improve your product? Because, I mean, most people are going to care more about you improving your product rather than you having a pretty necktie and a nice suit. That's my personal opinion. That's how I think it is. Whether this gets shared or not, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's been showing me at that size. I don't know why. Sorry, I clicked on that randomly because of the freaking antsiness. Bah. Bah. I don't know what to call it. But excuse me. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and that's my question for the day. If you could make a fantasy creature, what creature would you use as a basis for it? You could use a regular animal. You could use an existing fantasy creature. You could make up something without a base creature. You could say, no, I'll base it off of color or something like that. Like, you could do absolutely whatever you want to do. There's been crazier stuff out there, like circle squares, which honestly, I just imagine squares and circles in a way that it's like the corners bend in and fold out and bend in and fold out. So it just is like an oscillating circle square. That's what I see as a circle square. It's kind of paradoxical, but also kind of not, because if you really think about it, all it's doing is changing shapes. So it oscillates between one and the other. I know oscillating isn't the right word, but that's how I can best describe it. That's how I imagine something paradoxical like that existing. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Yeah, I'm bored. I'll figure out a game to do a walkthrough on. And if you guys like it, then you like it. If you don't, I don't know, just let me know. If you prefer I talk like this, just help me with ideas. Like type in the chat, oh hey, can you look up such and such, and your opinion on this, and your opinion on that, and things like that, and I can do that, because I'd have to look into subjects to know stuff, because I don't know jack diddly shit. I don't know much of anything. I know a little bit, but not a whole lot. So I don't mind. I don't mind admitting it, because at this point, I'd be stupid to not admit it, especially if I'm just being honest. I don't know jack shit, and that's what I take to be part of my life is I don't know anything. So the best thing to do is to try and learn. So if any of you are interested in this or something, then, I don't know, let me know. I'd appreciate if you commented or liked. I don't expect you to subscribe because this is a hobby. It's not a full-time job. Actually, even if it was, I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. At this point, it's just silly. Yeah, it would help make money, but I'm not even going to worry about it. Like, 99% of the famous YouTubers don't even have their full audiences subscribed to them anyway. So why would I worry about it? It'd just be silly. I don't even think it's possible for, like, a big channel to have all the people subscribed to it that watch it. That's my personal opinion. I don't know. I don't have any data, no statistics, so take that with a bag of salt. You know what? Let's make it a bag of MSG, because that tastes good. Sorry, bad joke. But anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and my fellow myth weavers, I bid thee a good adieu. Okay, so that, and to stop recording.